We're here this evening to celebrate and discuss philanthropy, a subject that's near and dear to my heart. It's easy for me to consider some form of philanthropy because from my childhood, being brought in a culture of if you have some assets that you're blessed, and God, your society, expects you to help those who are not so blessed. So, as the years go by, my understanding of giving, tithing, etc., soon matured into philanthropy. My initial introduction to the Methodist Manor was the building of the Crestwood building. At that point in time, my wife and I felt that due to her health, this would be a good place to be, where there is step-down care. We knew that her health was continuing to deteriorate. As we looked into living at the manor, and we realized that the mission was to serve in the Spirit of Christ the people that are there and those who would come in the future. We felt that not only would it be good for us, but it would be something that we could support in the future. Unfortunately, before the Crestwood was completed, my wife's health failed and she passed on. I struggled with whether to stay where I was or come to the manor. And I felt in the best interest of my family and myself over the long haul that this was a place I should be, and I've not been disappointed. So I really wasn't surprised when the staff of the Methodist Manor approached me about serving on the board and considering a gift to the capital fundraising for new construction at the Methodist Manor, the so-called Generation to Generation project. I also at that point in time began to think about a legacy gift that would benefit the manor and those who come here to be served for the future.
I've known about the Methodist Manor since its inception, about 60 years ago. My dad was a Methodist minister, and he was proud of the Methodist Church in the fact that they had the foresight to see that a retirement community needed to be built. At that time, Tulsa just didn't have anything, and so the Methodist Church took over the property that had been occupied by the Francis Willard home, I think 40 acres, and they had one little red brick building that they started out with. And I remember when the first cottage was built on Sandusky by the administrator of the manor at that time, and the rest of the 40 acres was just green grass. The manor has certainly changed since then. My parents built a cottage in 1970. That was Phil and Estelle Deschner. They lived there several years before my mother passed away, and she spent the last 3 months of her life in the nursing center. My dad stayed in the house for a while, and then he moved over to the main building, which is like our Felt House now. Lived there for 5 years, and he lived then in the nursing center for about his last 3 months also. My brother and I were so pleased with the care that they both received and how happy they were with the residents, the friends that they had here, and the great staff who was such a caring and compassionate group of people that we've just always had the manor in our hearts. And my husband and I said, well, this is where we want to be when we retire. And we put our name on the list, but he passed away before anything was available. And I moved in a little over 20 years ago and have just been thankful every day that I live here at the Manor. The people are like an extended family. They're just caring. They're Christian people, not all the same church by any means, that doesn't matter. But we all have the same interests, even though our backgrounds were very, very different. And it's very interesting to find out what some of these people have done. It's really interesting that with all the varied backgrounds and the vocations that people had, that this is where we all end up and are just sort of like an extended family. It's just great. My son Charles and his wife Candy are members of the 10-Man Society because they knew, of course, my parents as their grandparents, and were pleased when they came to see the Manor when my parents lived here, and now they're happy that I live here, and they just think it's the greatest place. And my brother Phil Deschner was also a member of the 10-Man Society. He passed away just about a year ago. But we all just have a great feeling for the Manor and are proud of the Methodist Church for having started it.